Hey, welcome back to Overhead Athletics. Today I'm here with Carson. He's actually had a little bit of an over internal rotation issue, which sometimes happens on that lead leg hip. So we've had some issues with deceleration mechanics before in the past. And one of those things is that we have to stabilize and brace really well on this front leg, but also not overly rotate that pelvis and not slam into my end range hip adduction and internal rotation kind of as I slow my arm down. So we've got him in the throwing sock here, and we're just training some mechanics. So I just want you to go through kind of like you're gonna pitch here. And I want you to take note of where he lands with that foot and kind of what that front leg does. So you see right now he's landing in an externally rotated position of that foot and then kind of driving into hip adduction. And the throwing sock is great here because it is a little bit of facilitation of the fault for him. So go ahead and just keep rolling for me. I'm gonna keep talking. So he lands in kind of that position with a lot of knee flexion and then comes up at the end. So it's kind of like knee external rotation and then he does this at the end, which is not transferring energy very well to the throw. What we'd like to see is land in a little bit of internal rotation, braced well in the front leg, and then good posture as he comes through. So a couple more here. So the front leg is starting to brace and extend well after the ball has left his hand. So there's a few ways we can start to train this. Go ahead and get set. The first thing is we need to have some good closing angles so that he has good force closure. So working on improving those mechanics of that lead leg, we've got him here landing between two objects. We've done videos in the past on a constraints-led approach, and this is that in action right here. So we have a constraint on the landing leg. So if we get him to land in a better position, go ahead. All of a sudden his front leg bracing is going to be better, and we give him a target that's a bit higher. So now he has to land and hit a higher target here. Good. I want you to try to hit the top of that thing there. Hit the wall there. One thing with the throwing sock is that athletes tend to throw it a little bit lower than what I'd like to see at times. So way up there. Good. And we already see better landing leg mechanics. So how do we progress this? We're going to throw an aqua bag. This is filled with water. And this is a homemade contraption here to hold the aqua bag. So this is going to go on like a backpack, and then we're going to strap you up tight. We're going to throw this on because it's going to continue to try to rotate around his body at the end of his throw. So he has to work really hard to decelerate it with that leg. Okay, and now what you'll see is that at the end of the throw, it's going to try to rotate him this way, which means he has to decelerate with this lead leg hip a little bit harder at the end of his throw. So come forward, don't be overstriding at all. Good. Now just half step that way. Good. Now you got to land right between there. And so now he's got to land in a more internally rotated position and train that leg. Let's see it. Good. Go ahead and go again. I want to see like 5 good solid reps. So he's got some constraints on the pelvis. He's got some constraints on that landing leg. Yep, now I want you to a little bit further back. And now, and I don't always do this, but now for a little bit of internal cueing, come on back just a little bit. What I mean is that way there. For a little bit of internal cueing, I want you to land with more extension in your leg, so not so flexed. I want you to land kind of a little bit more extended with that front leg. Yep. Okay. Keep throwing it high. Let's go about 5 to 10 reps. One of the things we're starting to think about here is we're starting to train him in hip abduction strength, gluteal strength, and single leg strength with rotation. So now he's starting to get stronger through both hips, primarily that landing leg hip where he rotated too far, and part of that over rotation was due to a mound that wasn't great, and part of it was due to weakness, and part of it was due to just poor mechanical sequencing. We're starting to train him out of that kind of inefficient pattern, give him more strength so that he can control that range, and then we start to fortify that better mechanical sequence with these added demands of the aqua bag instability trainer, with the added demand of extra inertial load into rotation from the actual throwing sock itself to get him to be more stable. So how do we replicate this at home? Throwing sock, $30, Oats Specialties, Tap baseball, Tap is a great brand. Get a backpack. You don't need an aqua bag, although it's best. Get a backpack and throw some weight in there. Throw a medicine ball in there and have them do that at home. Aqua bag's gonna be best. We're starting to improve strength. We've got them doing lateral walks. We've got them doing hip rotation and standing into external rotation from an SFMA style of approach there, which is really effective because he gets standing leg hip abduction strength and external rotation at the same time as he's got a little bit of a load through the core as well, and he's got to work on balance, so we like that. And then one of the nice ones that we really like for him is a marching aqua bag punch, and we're looking to see what mechanics he lands in that. And what you'll find is that the higher intensity an athlete goes in an aqua bag march, the better their mechanics are for their landing leg. So this is just a few ways we're starting to work on these things, is to give them some constraints on the landing leg, give them some constraints from the top down and from the arm with inertial load around the rib cage. And then we can start to add some more bottom-up load. Let's go a hop straight up in the air and then do the same thing to get them to load that leg a little bit more on the backside as well. Okay, pick a target for me. And that's one of the most important things when you're throwing with a throwing sock, is to make sure you pick a target so that you can throw it right at that target as you go. And that's probably the best one. You see that already he's starting to stabilize on that front leg, maintain better postural control through rotation, one of our attractor states in throwing. We've pretty much burned out the hips here earlier today.
With the jump?
Yep. Good. So better mechanics already. This is how we start to train to get him out of that kind of faulty, collapsed position here and get him into that braking force position where he's got, maybe 15 degrees or so closed to that front foot, and he's striding straight towards the target. Good, let's call it a day there on that. If you guys like this video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one.